Hi, I'm Project Dan, and welcome to another edition of the Weekly Polls, where I talk about what's worth reading, what you should catch in the trades, and what should never, ever be read or thought of again for as long as we both shall live. My read pile is as epic as ever, so let's dive right in. Action Comics number 3. The Destruction of Krypton has just been rewritten. Again. Now we're dealing with something called the Colony of the Collector of Worlds, which, granted, is probably just longhand for Brainiac. From what I can glean, the collectors copy all information from a world, take its most significant artifacts, and then destroy it. For some reason. They turn up to Earth by the issue's end, looking for Superman, also for reasons I can't discern, and while I'm sure the goal was for this to feel like a grand-scale epic, instead it comes off kinda silly and frankly pretty forced. Also, what's with Clark's hair? Is he a Final Fantasy character? The only thing I liked about this book is the portrayal of Clark as an intrepid reporter, constantly looking out for the downtrodden of society and in search of the truth. If the rest of the book was as good as that, I'd keep reading. But despite my love of Grant Morrison, I think I'll probably end up dropping it and picking it up in the trades. Most of Grant's books are better that way anyway. Animal Man number 3. I'm not sure what I just read, but it was awesome. Jeff Lemire is seamlessly mixing real life, family drama, with totally abstract concepts of life and death, and Travel Foreman's art is so creepy that I actually started to feel uncomfortable while reading it, but in a really good, satisfying way. A lot is happening, including what appears to be a connection between this story and the one happening in Swamp Thing, but I won't spoil the details here. Bottom line, buy this book. Buy like the wind. Swamp Thing number 3. Yep. Swamp Thing's story is definitely crossing with Animal Man's. Whereas Lemire's narrative style is a little more outside of the box, Scott Snyder weaves a much more straightforward story, and between the two of them, we're getting a very real sense of what a threat these villains, the Rot, can be. I like the update to Abigail Arcane, and Alec Holland's ongoing journey towards becoming Swamp Thing again feels really honest. Great character building here. Also, there is nothing like a creepy little kid to give a grown man the willies. Good stuff. Read this and Animal Man back to back, and you'll be a happy little Billy. Batwing number 3. I've been throwing a lot of criticism Judd Winnick's way for his writing on Catwoman, but his treatment of Batwing proves that he's perfectly capable of compelling drama. David Zavimbi's backstory is slowly unfolding, and I really dig how complex a character he is. Valuing honor, caring about his homeland, but still dragging around some pretty unethical baggage. That parallels very nicely with the Kingdom, a group of superheroes who brought an end to warlord control in Africa. They also have a dark past, one that our villain, Massacre, seems bent on making them all pay for. Great action, great story, great characters. If you haven't been reading Batwing, start. Detective Comics number 3. I know a lot of people really love this book, but it's pretty middle of the road for me. The Dollmaker is suitably scary, the characterization for Batman and Jim Gordon are good, the story is good, but that's the thing. The book is, at best, just good. And with so many other Bat-related books doing more than just hovering at passable, I don't feel inclined to keep reading. I'd recommend holding off until the trade comes out. Justice League International number 3. The villain for the series, Paraxis, that's 2 X's, wears a purple outfit and wields an axe that's shaped like the letter P. In a nutshell, that is the tone of this book. Now, I'm a fan of Booster Gold, and I like the book and think it's fun, but it's a bit of a guilty pleasure. I'll let you know if it goes anywhere, but for now, wait until the trade's on this one. O.M.A.C number 3. This book is silly and needlessly complicated. I get why Didio would keep Max Lord and some of the Checkmate stuff as part of the story, but this just isn't the sort of book a new reader would pick up and understand. If the focus had just been on the other villain, Sci-Fi Man, I think the story would have worked a lot better. I like the first issue in the series, but it's progressively gotten more convoluted and too over the top for my tastes. I'm dropping it. Moving on from DC titles, we have the Goon number 36. Now, you might remember last week when I blasted Resurrection Man number 2 for objectifying women by having them appear overly busty and in unnatural poses. This week, I'll talk about why that isn't always a bad thing. With the Goon number 36, for example, our guest star character is Roxy Delight, a burlesque performer who is deceitful, underhanded, smokes like a chimney, yet somehow still manages to light up any room with her smile? Sure, let's go with that. Not only is Roxy based on a real performer of the same name, but Eric Powell brings burlesque to life in a way that really captures the irreverent humor and style of the art form. Yes, I consider burlesque to be art. It's not to everyone's taste, but for me it represents a woman using both her body and her mind to entertain on her own terms. Bottom line, this book is very funny, and even if you've never read The Goon before, you'll easily know what's going on. Pick it up. Hackslash number 9. Speaking of comics that skirt the line of sexploitation, Hackslash has always towed the line between strong, sexy women and objectification. This issue somehow managed to land in the former category despite the appearance of the always porntastic Bomb Queen. I'm not sure what's happening right now in the continuity because there's a lot of crossovers and alternate universes happening. This definitely isn't a jumping on point, but if you're looking for a horror book that's got a good splash of comedy mixed in, I recommend picking up the Hackslash My First Maniac trade. Don't pick this issue up, though, unless you're really into the series. Infinite Vacation number 3. So, it's been about somewhere near 6 months since the second issue in this series came out, which makes it a mite bit difficult to remember what's going on. I'll tell you this, the book is messed up. It's a story about being able to traverse infinite possibilities, so Nick Spencer thought it would be fun to show a man eat the testicles of an alternate version of himself before decapitating that self and then making sweet amour with the resulting bloody neck hole. Like I said, messed up. Interesting, but Lord Almighty. If you possess an iron constitution, pick this one up when it's in the trades, which, considering the space between issues, should happen sometime in the year 5 billion. And now on to the risk books. Remember, it's always good to give a new book a chance. Put down one of those Marvel or DC titles and try something different. You'll be glad you did. Flesh Digger number 1. This is another of Top Cow's pilot season books. It's the story of a man whose life is cut short by a crime syndicate. A woman, trapped in the gang, performs an ancient ritual, causing the man to return as some kind of monstrous creature, bent on getting revenge against the men responsible for his death. I didn't care for it. I felt like there was no way to connect to any of the characters, and for a really straightforward story, I found the panels confusing and difficult to follow. Don't bother. Misdirection number 1. Another Top Cow book. Vinny Martinez was a NASCAR champ, until he threw it all away on a drunken police chase. He lost everything. His career, his wife, his kid. Then one day an old friend turned up with a simple driving gig. Simple, that is, until it turns out the job is as a wheelman on a bank heist. Now with his ex-wife and his daughter in danger, Vinny has no choice but to keep driving. Yeah, it's alright. Seriously though, there are some pacing issues, but it's a solid read. If a good wheelman story is your thing, I recommend picking this one up. And we finish with Heart number 1. Now, I'm not a fan of Ultimate Fighting, but I do have a lot of respect for writer Blair Butler, since she's no slouch when it comes to recommending great books to her show, Fresh Ink. With that in mind, I picked up Heart number 1, and it's not bad. Not bad at all. The story of Oren Rooster Redmond, an office drone turned UFC boxer, moves along at a nice clip, and gives us a character that most of us can relate to. When I got to the end, I wanted to read more, and ultimately that's the highest praise I can give a book. I recommend checking it out, and if you like stories about boxers and wrestlers, I also recommend checking out a little indie book called Big Title by Alec Lewellyn. You can get a physical copy at Forbidden Planet if you happen to live near New York City, or just check it out on his website, which I'll link below. And that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and keep reading.